الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم المبعوث رحمة للعالمين، وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اهتدى بهديه إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، حياكم الله my sisters. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن شاء الله you're well. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا آتنا ما لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا، إنك تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. ربنا علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما، اللهم آمين. Inshallah, we continue our study of Surat Yusuf alayhi salam, Surah number 12 in Al-Quran Al-Kareem, and it is as well in Juz number 12 in Al-Quran Al-Kareem. We reflected on that in um, uh, the first lesson in the series. Inshallah, easy for you to find. So we have reached verse 31. We're going to review quickly what we have reached. So in the previous verse, in verse number 30, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that the news about what happened from Imra'atul Aziz and the situation with that involved Yusuf alayhi salam, her desire, wanting to rawiduhu an nafsihi, asking him for himself immorally, and the situation happened, and her husband was there at the door when the door was opened. A witness was there as well and gave a witness, and they also how the qamis of Yusuf alayhi salam, how it was torn. And after that, we saw as well that Al-Aziz, which is the husband, admitted, said, acknowledged that his wife had done something wrong. And he told her, "Istaghfiri li dhanbiki." He told her to seek forgiveness. And he told her as well, you are from the khati'in. Khati'in means those who do wrong, knowing that they do wrong. As well, we have seen that he told Yusuf alayhi salam, "A'rid an hada." Ignore this, overlook it. However, that incident, all what happened in it, had reached outside that or these walls to other people. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in verse 30 that niswa, and we understand from the word niswa, yes, you can say women. It's not wrong to say women because it means women, but it means women in a special class. And here is the class close to the Al-Aziz and his wife. So that news reached them, and they started talking about Al-Aziz, Imra'atul Aziz, and what happened. And we understand from when they saw when they said inna lanaraha fi dhalalin mubin, indeed we see her, although they didn't see what happened, but saying it's dhalal mubin is a judgment. But as well, we understood it's a we understood from the coming verse something, those who followed from last week. This statement of theirs, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described it in the next verse, but I'm asking you ahead of time before I show you the next verse. What was it? Them talking about Imratul Aziz, telling what happened, and telling she is Imratul Aziz, and now she is looking or wanting her servant, and that his love or her love for him is deep in her heart. And then them saying inna lanaraha fi dhalalin mubin. Was that because they worry? Was that because they find this something wrong? It shouldn't be done. Was it because they want to be sincere advisors? What is it? It's makr, Hasanti. Yes, them wanting more proof of something that's not related to them is makr. And through the makr, they are saying statement that when she hears what they say, she could be pushed or provoked to prove it. Like our sister said, them wanting more information is a cover for the intention. Okay, so that is makr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called it makr in the next verse. He said subhanahu wa ta'ala, فلما سمعت بمكرهن, when she heard their makr. So where is the makr? The makr in stating something wrong, although they shouldn't have spoken about it. If they actually worry for the right and wrong, they shouldn't mention it. But them mentioning it, saying it was done this way, and then saying we see her in that, in ضلال مبين, that is the makr. So now they want more proof, and now she already had learned that, and she's going to take steps, and she's going to set them up for what from our observation last week, we said what she's doing could reach the degree of what they did was makr, but what she's doing could reach the degree of kaid. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. And what is the difference between kaid and makr? That makr could be like a sneaky way or a statement. Alhamdulillah. If you had the difference, we made the difference last week between what kaid is and what makr is. Makr and kaid both have consequence, but kaid is a what and makr is what? What is the difference? Who would like to help so we can review what you learned, and as well our sisters can review. I will give a second for those that want to look at their notes and type. So my question is, what is the difference? We spoke about that last week. What is the difference between makr and kaid? When a human does makr or when a human does kaid, what's the difference? Okay, my sisters, I will move on. And when you're ready with the difference, please let me know. So what they spoke about and how they put it was makr. However, what she's doing can grow to a degree of kaid because there is we have reached all the way to alayhinna. So yes, we're not in the beginning of the verse, we're almost finishing the verse. So we have reached here. There is a plan, there is a plot, there is an evil plan or a plot. When we call it evil, I don't want to call it evil every time, because, and you're going to see why through the story as we read through the verses. We want to say what it is, and we explained as well what kaid is, but we can see there is plotting. There are steps to be taken, step by step, to allow the person to be inside that plan and inside that plot and surrounded by it. Okay, so فلما سمع, so when she heard with their makr. So one of the things we try to understand that the word makr here, when they say gossip, it's really, gossip is making it lighter than it is. Makr is more, as we said, has a, my sister mentioned here, kaid is an intention or a want to harm someone. So there is an intention or a want, correct, but for what? To harm someone with the unseen or untold plan or way. Ahsanti, Romana. However, makr could be a statement, a look, or an action or a reaction to lead a person to prove a point or to take action, to provoke them to take action or to do something that eventually it's not may not cause them harm, physical harm, but may put them in a like tough situation. But it is not essentially the intention, because wallahu alam, of course, with the makr, the intention is not to harm them. The intention is to know more information. And that's why we call it sometimes it's a sneaky, it's cheeky, it's not straightforward. And the intention behind it can be seen into or in the question or the statement. So that is the makr. So what they did was makr. You can, as our sister here said, if you want one word for it, maybe you can say, you can use cunning for it. It leads someone to a point. It leads someone to be stuck in how to answer, what to say, embarrass them. That's makr. It can cause a harm, but it's not essentially at the beginning. It's not essentially with that intention, because the person can simply refuse to answer the question. So when someone said, where were you last weekend? They seem like they know something about last weekend. So you could say, I refuse to answer. You don't have to know about my last weekend. So from the beginning, you refuse to be the victim of that makr. So that's a makr question. So she heard about that makr from them. So the plan started, or the plot started. So the first thing, أرسلت إليهن. So أرسلت إليهن, help me with the answers. We're still reviewing. أرسلت إليهن, that's the first step she took. She sent this أرسلت إليهن. She sent to them. So that's first step. Second, أعتدت لهن متكئا. How do we understand أعتدت? That's the second step in that plan. So sending them an invitation to come, already telling them, I already got what you said about me, and come, I want you to come. And they, of course, curious, and they want to know, because we already understood that from what they said. So أعتدت لهن متكئا. What does وأعتدت لهن متكئا mean? And she prepared for them comfortable, ahsanti, comfortable place. Between brackets, add words like has cushions, nice area to sit, pleasant, something for a pleasant experience or to relax. This is how Arabs understand muttaka. Muttaka is a place that you could stay there for a while, and you would need to change position and have something soft behind your back or under your knee to sit comfortably for some time. She prepared for them a comfortable place to sit, relax. So you can add maybe with cushions, with relaxed area. This is the area they are in right now. And to give that relaxation more, she brought food. So the scholars understood from having the sikkin that they must be something to cut with the knife. It could be a fruit, it could be something that they need to use the sikkin to cut, but she didn't serve what to be cut first. And that's the next bit of the plan. So first she sent to them. Second, she prepared for them a comfortable, relaxed place together with, between brackets as well, like to add here, to sit, relax / eat as well. Why eat? That explains why the knife was there. So my sister Romana, add after relax another / eat. Where did we get the eat from? Because they have a knife. What are they going to cut with? How they explain the not having the knife if there was no something to cut with it? Okay, but the plot was to give them the knife before the food, and to call him alayhi salam before they have whatever to cut with the knife. Okay, So وآتت كل واحدة منهن سكينا, and she gave every one of them, or each one of them, a knife. وقالت, and she said أخرج. We said when we looked at أخرج, many of you said enter. However, أخرج doesn't mean to enter. أخرج means to come out, which means he has to come out from a room, another room, to the place where they are sitting in. And this goes along with the word متكئا, because usually the area you receive guests in, it's maybe in the middle of your house. It's a place where maybe there is a garden or a backyard behind. It is something that a person will be in a room and then come out to this area for relaxation or tea or so on. So أخرج عليهن, come out on them, the lady. And then we understood as well from أخرج, that's the order to. We had a pause there last week. وقال تخرج, so we understood it's the order to a man. أحسنتي. It's different than the whole flow. The whole flow is talking about women, she, they, but now it's order to him. أخرج عليهن. So he came out, he obeyed the order, he serves in this house, alayhi salam. And she ordered him with something, so he came. So فلما, so now we're starting new from فلما. So help me when you can. فلما رأينه. رأينه. If we know فلما or we know رأينه. So when, that's فلما. رأينا, so رأينا alone, if you read the word رأينا alone, let me just show it to you so you understand when you're reading in Arabic, what are you reading? So رأينا, that's a verb that means women, group of women saw something. So the women bit is there in the noon. So when they, between brackets, because it's for women form, when they saw, and then who, him, referring to Yusuf alayhi salam. So when they saw him, so he came out after, because when she said ukhruj alayhinna, they heard her too, right? He heard from where he is, she heard, they heard, and then he came out. So now they saw him. So when they, the women or the ladies or the niswa, saw him, okay, أكبرنه. I'm not expecting you to know the meaning of أكبرنه. And please, you have to differentiate between trying to understand it because it relates to Arabic word you know, and actually explain it. You're not trying to explain it at this stage. Maybe high chance you don't know what أكبرنه means, but you can relate it to something you know. What is that thing? What is that word? MashaAllah, my sister. So when you say it's relating or related to the word akbar or kabir, that's very good. You see what I'm trying to help you to do here? Don't use it don't say it means this or that. In a stage, you're still trying to understand it. But what is it that you try to say? Does it relate to that? Does it have something to do with akbar? Does it have something to do with kabir? Okay. So akbarnahu, yes, it has something to do with kabir or akbar or kabir or akbar or kibr even, but kibr is a different word. All right. So what does this mean? Remember when in the previous verse when they said imra'atul aziz turawidu fataha, when they said fataha and she is imra'atul aziz, what place you're thinking they're putting him in? They don't know him. They don't know who is fataha. They don't know who Yusuf alayhi salam is, right? But they hear a story, a wife of a minister is looking at her servant. So putting her, exactly, they're putting him in a place that is considerably different than the place she is in. So inferior to where she is in. Like she is superior, she is the lady, she is the mistress, and he is the fata, inferior, he has to obey. But here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said akbarunahu. So now that the idea they had about him now is what? The akbarunahu. So now is the idea different after they saw him? Okay, so now they're looking at him with more respect, with more consideration. In their mind, he is akbar from the idea they had about him. So you see now, sometimes, and you will find this if you're all working on understanding the Quran and trying to write words to explain what you understood, it's very hard to write words to explain this word that won't take it out of context. So akbarunahu here is now why is it comparative like akbar? It's because they had a certain idea about him as a servant. They don't know who he is, but now they saw him, so now they're seeing something kabir. It's akbar from the idea they saw, overwhelming, right? So akbarunahu. Let's see. I want you to have an idea here what the different understanding wrote for it. So one here said they were stunned. Stunned doesn't give the meaning of akbar. Stunned means give the meaning of what? When you say someone was stunned by that sight, it doesn't give the meaning of that now they consider it bigger than what they thought. They consider what they're witnessing bigger than what they thought, or huge, more huge. Exactly. Stunned means something like they're shocked, but the bigger bit is not there. You see? So let's see another one. When they saw him, they greatly admired him. So this a little bit closer to akbarunahu. Why? Because they greatly admire. So before, it wasn't greatly admire. They were not looking at Yusuf alayhi salam in admiration. They were looking, as we could understand, in they're expressing that he's inferior to her. So now they are admiring him greatly. So that's better to explain it, or closer, let's say. When they saw him, they fond him. This doesn't give the meaning of akbar. Our akbarunahu. Another one said, we're stunned by his beauty. Again, it's not giving the meaning of being shocked, but doesn't give the meaning of being akbar. So I think the closest one that you can explain, first try to write it in Arabic letter, in English letters. So when they saw him, between brackets, the ladies or the niswa, they admired him greatly. They admired him greatly. And then between brackets, explain, compared to the idea they had before. And this is how you see the comparison. So I'll repeat. So when they saw him, the women in that muttaka area that Imra'atul Aziz prepared, having the knives in their hand, and then he came out on them in this room. So when they saw him, they admired him greatly, between brackets, compared to the idea they had before. So now when you read it, you understand it's not only the shock bit that is expressed in the verse, it's a shock with more, okay, this is not what we think. It's not what we thought. Do we understand? Akbarunahu. Okay. Then something else start happening. So the akbarunahu, so yes, there is a shock, correct? But akbara is like not expecting what to see because I had a certain idea about it and I'm comparing now. I thought it was something. I realized it's something much, much bigger than I thought. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَقَطَّعْنَ أَيْدِيَهُنَّ. So how can we understand وَقَطَّعْنَ أَيْدِيَهُنَّ? So when I was explaining the surah first time, it was a few years ago. Ahsanti. This is what you can think in English, the closest meaning you have, but there is more. So not only that, no. Yes, there is the feminine, the قطعن and أيديهن. MashaAllah. Where did you get the repeatedly from, Romana? The shadda on the ta. So Zahra, you noticed it too. MashaAllah, tabarakallah, doing it again and again. So it's not only that they had the knife and accidentally, because they were so surprised by the looking at Yusuf alayhi salam, that they forgot they had knives. But they remember that they had knives, but they forgot maybe they didn't have something to cut. Oh, from the previous lesson. Okay, so they started cutting their hand. But when you cut your hand once, you feel it, right? You see how surprised and between brackets, admiring what they're looking at, to the point that they kept on cutting their hands and they didn't realize what kind. You see, when we talk about pain, let's talk about pain for a second, because when we get hurt and we seek counseling or coaching or someone to give us advice, we are hurting, right? Or when someone cut their finger, when you cut your finger a little bit, when you cut the tomato, and then you have to feel the acid of the tomato, or the lemon when you're cooking. It's a small cut, right? And maybe it continue hurt you and stings you for a few days. But here, the cut was repeated more than once. How do we know? From the shidda on the ta. Okay, tell me then. Okay, what if it was only once? Then how would it be expressed outside the Quran? Of course, we say qata'a without the shidda on the ta. We say qata'a yadahu. Qata'a, cut. But because it happened more than once, you find the shidda on the ta. Subhanallah. So you see. And this happens all the time in the Quran, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to imagine something. If you just hear Yusuf was beautiful, alayhi salam, it's not to effect or the same effect as you hear this coming with. So first, they admired him greatly because they didn't think about him like that before. Second, from that admiration and surprise, they kept on cutting their hands without realizing that they're doing it. And then they said something. وَقُلْنَا حَاشَ لِلَّهِ حَاشَ لِلَّهِ مَا هَذَا بَشَرًا. So let's go to وَقُلْنَا first. وَقُلْنَا. What does وَقُلْنَا mean? And they said, they, of course, women, because we can see the noon with fatha at the end. حاشا لله. So you want to understand حاشا لله in a different word in Arabic, you can understand it as أعوذ بالله. حاشا لله what? Or أعوذ بالله what? Now they are thinking about what they said before about Imra'atul Aziz, and now again there's another comparison going on. So not only about him, but about what they said about her. So they accused her in that statement they said, when they said she is in a clear error, and now they're saying, or a kind of giving her what? A room for excuse. So they're saying حاشا لله. أعوذ بالله, like أعوذ بالله between if you want to put quotations between or brackets, like from what we thought before. أعوذ بالله, that we had thought something like that to start with, something bad to start with. Can حاشا لله, he used some of them here, explain as like perfect is Allah or good God. For that you could say subhanallah, but حاشا لله is used for situation like that. I tell you why. Let me give you a little bit of a background. So if for example one of you're talking to a sister of yours and she start mentioning another sister, that the other sister really kind, but when the sister talking about her now, she's not saying kind things about her, so you say حاشا لله. You see, that is a situation when you use حاشا لله, because you can as well say حاشاها for the sister that is not there, that the one you're talking to mentioning her with bad words or with negative things. You say حاشاها means I don't think she does what you think, what you're saying, which means another word, أعوذ بالله, she doesn't do what you're saying. So حاشا can be used for people as well. We can say حاشاك, we can say حاشاكي. You see, so someone say, am I lying or what? You say حاشاكي, we don't know, we don't think that you're lying, like أعوذ بالله, you don't lie. That's why I'm trying to tell you, saying perfect is Allah is not wrong, but it is not maybe the best understanding. So is that clear? So حاشا لله could be understood as أعوذ بالله, could be understood as how come we thought that, between brackets, how come we had that idea. And then they continued, ما هذا بشرا, ما هذا بشرا. ما, that is the not bit. هذا, you didn't mention هذا at all. So ما هذا, no, ما here is not what. ما here is a negation. This is not a human. بشر, human usually is translated in Arabic as insan, not translated in Arabic, it's translated from the Arabic, which is human, for the word insan. But bashar is another word for human. You know why? Because human has a bashra or bashara, which is what, the outer skin. They don't have fur, they don't have scales or hard skin. They have soft skin on the outside. So we call that in Arabic bashra. So that's why the word basharan. ما هذا بشرا, this is not a human. Because now another comparison they're making, right? The human idea in their head is completely, now what they're seeing before their eyes is beyond that. Subhanallah. So now compare, when you just hear Yusuf alayhi salam has a lot of beauty, to that the idea you have about a human, you see, what you're witnessing now is beyond that, to the point that they're saying this is not a human. So that can give you what, yeah, how do you think Yusuf alayhi salam was? So if someone said very good looking, you think it could be fair to say he good, unimaginably ahsanti, beautiful that you cannot imagine, you cannot have an idea. Therefore, they are not, again, their idea of a human doesn't apply in this case. Extremely beautiful, extremely handsome, that you cannot fathom, you cannot imagine. Your idea about a human collapses. It's not a human. So they're saying ما هذا بشرا. And then they continued, إن هذا إلا ملك كريم. So let's carry on. So in, you may not know it right away. You need to carry on to understand in. So we had few meanings of in before, but leave in now. What does hada or illa or malakun or kareem mean if you can? This, and then illa can be except or but. Kareem can be meaning generous, but there are other meaning for Kareem because they cannot see his generosity now. Like if you understand Kareem as generous, how did they see nobility? Ahsanti. They could Kareem in this case can mean noble, not generous. And Kareem in Arabic can mean noble or honorable or generous. No, Kareem doesn't mean gentle. No, to our understanding from the word in Arabic, no. When we say karamul akhlaq, means the nobility of the ethics of morals. So it's not gentleness. Okay, so in here, this is except a noble angel. So in here, so you see now you need the in. So if you thought of it like that, you'll find yourself needing the in. So in can mean, now if you're taking notes, take possible understanding for in. And I'm talking about in, as you can see, the one with the hamza and the kasra. But the only has to come from a source, my sister. So I'm explaining now the source. So hamza and kasra and nun sakin. In can mean in case or if. So that's the first meaning. If or in case. In can mean no, can mean negation in some flow. In can mean indeed as well. So repeat, in can mean if or in case. In can mean no, like to say not. And in can mean indeed. In this flow, it's actually negating. How do we know that? Because of the illa. Because in and illa together, you can say only, or you can say indeed this is, but you don't need the illa in this case. So if you think of it as indeed, it won't make sense with the illa. So indeed, this is a noble angel, or indeed, this is only a noble angel. Where does the only come from? When there is a negation together with the exception, it gives the meaning of only. Like when you say La ilaha illallah, what is the negation? The la. What is the exception? Illa. So La ilaha illallah means what? There is no God worthy of worship except Allah. So they're saying this is none, but like a malakun kareem. What we're witnessing now is not but malakun kareem, or is only a malakun kareem. You see, some of them figure this. You see, none. Let's see more for you to have an idea. Sorry, it's slow. Can you still hear me? Okay. So here, this, he is but. Here, he must be a precious. And here, none but, or none other than. Okay, jazakallah khairan. Okay, so وَقُلْنَا, going back to وَقُلْنَا, and they said, حَاشَ لِلَّهِ. So you can say أعوذ بالله, and between brackets. How come we had this idea? How come we thought like that between brackets? To understand why to think or why to say حَاشَ لِلَّهِ. ما هذا بشر. This is not a human. إن هذا إلا ملك كريم. This is none but a noble, honorable angel, or indeed this is a noble angel. So if you say indeed, you don't need the but. If you use in and illa together, then you say only. I hope that's clear. Okay, do we understand the verse? This is the end of verse 31. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so to keep the flow, I'll just start verse 32 and then I'll stop there. قالت فذلكن الذي لمتنني فيه. So قالت, I will just say use not sorry astaghfirullah, explain قالت, and then I will stop there. I just have a reflection to share with you and we'll start with that inshallah next time. So قالت, what does قالت mean or could mean in Arabic? She said. She said. So I want you now to remember something. That's the reflection I want you to have in your notes so we can remember it inshallah next time together. So remember something. When we were reviewing today, I reminded you with from verse number 30. Or no, before that even 29. When Al-Aziz acknowledged that his wife did something wrong, he told her to seek forgiveness, and he told her that she was from the khati'in, those who do something on purpose, khata, something wrong on purpose. But he didn't take any action to stop that to happen in the future, right? And as you're going to see, Imra'atul Aziz will not stop. She still wants what she wants, and she's still going to pursue it or to go after it again. So, and that sometimes help us understand ourselves, understand our children, understand the people who we care for. Sometimes your boundary has to be really clear. And if it kept on being crossed or stepped on, it means it's not clear enough. You don't have to be harsh. You don't have to be rude, but the boundary has to stay or remain very clear. What will happen if the boundary isn't clear? Is going to continue being stepped on or crossed or pushed. So we will see that inshallah next time. So there was no boundary. There was nothing to stop Imra'at al-Aziz from going after what she wants again. There was no consequence for her action. There was nothing to stop her. There was no, for example, that Yusuf alayhi salam started working in a different house, maybe owned by Al-Aziz, or a different section that that she's not in. There was no action to stop this from happening again. Therefore, she went after it again. Okay, so inshallah we continue next time. Jazakumullah khairan for joining me. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from us. Allahumma inna nas'aluka al-jannata wa ma qarraba ilayha min qawlin wa amal wa na'udhu bika min an-nar wa ma qarraba ilayha min qawlin wa amal. Allahumma fukk asra al-ma'surin wa naffis hamma al-mahmumin wa farrij karb al-makrubin واقض الدين عن المدينين واشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين وارحم موتانا وموتى المسلمين اللهم آمين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. جزاكم الله خيرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.